Hi, it's David here, CEO and founder of the Freedom Founders Mastermind community. In my frequent discussions with many of my colleagues or people in Freedom Founders membership, or people just knocking on the door to see what it is we do, I find a lot of people who are, what I would say, want to play it safe. They want to stay in a comfort zone, debt risk averse. Kind of Dave Ramsey is I guess that's what I'd say. Dave Ramsey, is he bad? Is he good? Look, he's neither. It depends. I think Dave Ramsey does a lot of good for a lot of people that are working paycheck to paycheck and never learned how to budget, how to use credit appropriately. Yes, he probably helps them and gets them out of consumption debt. On the other hand, the proper use of debt is one of the biggest leverage points that one can make in gaining acquisition of assets, investments, growth of an estate, which in the end is all about turning that growth into buying time back. Keeping it conservative, not utilizing debt, saving, disciplined, I get it, that's good, but just doing that very, quote, safe model doesn't get people to where they want to go. And I have the privilege of looking over the shoulders of many, hundreds of hardworking, relatively high income professionals, professional practice owners, business owners. They're high income, they provide well for their families, but the problem is there's no exit off the hamster wheel. They've never learned or ventured out to figure out how to acquire, invest in other assets besides their asset, which is them, and good for them for doing that. But eventually you've got to trade back the time you put into all those years of work back into, quote, retirement. I don't like the word particularly, but you know what I'm saying? You've got it. Where's the passive income? Well, I'm just going to pile up assets. I'm going to put money in a 401k. I'm going to, buy annuity and whole life insurance and, put money in the stock market and just fingers crossed, hope that that'll produce enough in accumulation of assets. And I say, well, how much is enough? No clue. Not an idea. What's your financial advisor tell you? Well, they tell me I probably, where I'm at, I need to have, $6, $8, $10 million, maybe more now with inflation kicking in. And I'm saying to the average hardworking professional practice owner who probably pulls in, $500,000 a year, they're not going to get there. Taxation is stripping away the opportunity to use W-2 income, which is trading time for dollars, stripping that ability away. The higher taxes go, the harder it is. It's a slippery slope. You've got to invest in other assets. That's why I love real estate. That's what we do in Freedom Founders. That's why I love real estate. I started building my portfolio back in 1980 when I was just a mere 22 years old, and built that portfolio up enough where I could escape the chair, leave my practice when my daughter was sick back in the mid 2000s, early 2000s. And I've been free ever since. Now I just get to help other people. I get to take my experiences, my network, my relationships, and help other people. Being adverse to debt is, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but if you don't have some filters on what's good debt versus bad debt, you're never going to get there. Quick example. Talked to a couple yesterday in their early 40s. Definitely would like to have a game plan to, quote, be free, have enough assets so they could leave their respective practices. He is a dentist, she is a nurse, within 10 years or less if possible. But their plan was to always pay off debt very quickly. Well, again, is that a bad thing? Well, maybe let you sleep better at night, but again, what's the trade-off? Sleep better at night and then also continue to work on the hamster wheel for 15, 20 more years? I don't know if that trade's worth it. You got to decide. They did one thing smart. And this is what I want to give you a key. Just a few years ago, pre-COVID, had some land that they had already acquired, small tract, and took $70,000 of a HELOC, that's a loan against one's house equity, and used that $70,000 plus the land and had constructed with debt financing, had to go to the bank for this as well, an 8-door apartment complex. So small apartment complex. Total cost of acquisition build out with the debt financing that they had, about $1.2 million. They manage it. It's small enough. It's close enough. They do it. Fine. Perfect. No objection. It cash flows a little bit. But I asked them, I said, what do you think that's worth today? And we took the value today and the debt that they have on it. It's about double their net worth. It's got about $1.2 million in equity. Now, they've got choices with that equity. They could just leave it there, continue to manage the property, take the small cash flows that they get now and wait the next 15 years until it pays off. And then they'll get bigger cash flows. But wait a minute. They didn't want to go 15 years. And I say, look, when you build equity, the way you did it, so smart, you use smart leverage to invest in a capital asset, this case apartment complex, that with inflation and the value you added, the cash flow that's coming from the tenants, it's doubled in its cost basis. Your base is 1.2, it's worth 2.4, 1.2 million. You can leave that there and just wait till that pays down to where the whole thing's free and clear, or you could harvest that equity. You could harvest that equity, you could sell it and take that equity and then re-leverage that into more properties. You could do a 1031 exchange where you actually take the profit, sell the property, and actually move it to other properties without paying any tax. I said there's so many ways to do this. You took one great step, which is giving you the greatest jump in your net worth that you've ever done in your 40 years of life, 20 years of adult lifehood, let's say. Why wouldn't you do that again? If you knew what you were doing and you had doing it with some safety, not speculation, safety, why wouldn't you do it again? If you leapfrogged your net worth and therefore your freedom plan by that much in just a few short years, why wouldn't you do that again? Well, we're not sure what else to do next. We don't have another piece of land. Got it. That's what we do in Freedom Founders. We provide the implementation, the opportunity to take your buckets of money, wherever they are, retirement plans, equity in home residence or practice building or other real estate or vacation homes or whole life insurance or where that money is stuck doing nothing, and show you how to safely, with low risk, nothing's risk-free, but low risk, how to multiply that capital base many times over than if you just left it where it was, sitting there, paying off all the debt and hoping someday to be free and clear of all debt, which you'll get there someday, but someday is the problem. You want it sooner? You've got to learn how to find the inflection points, the leverage points that move the needle. It's exactly what we do in Freedom Founders, exactly what our members get on their blueprint days, where we build a customized plan to show them exactly how to make the most of what they've currently got. And that's what transforms lives. That's what we do in Freedom Founders. If you're thinking about it, if you've heard about us, but just not quite sure, there's no harm. You can jump on a discovery call with any of my team, and they'll walk you through some of the basic frameworks to give you at least clarity. Whether or not our group's right for you or not matters not to me, just giving you clarity. So at least you've got an idea of what you're looking at. So you can make changes now and not wait till later when it's too late, when you've lost the opportunity, when you're too old to make a change, and now you just got to take what you've got. Don't let that happen. No regrets. Stay focused on your freedom, and I'll talk to you next time.